And the man himself has arrived.
There he is.
He's been up since real early this morning.
Yes,
I can just imagine. I can just imagine. And it probably didn't end real quick last night, so that turnaround's probably been pretty short, Coach.
Man, we had 1,000 women last night in this stadium, and they were fired up. Women behind the brand, 1,000. So, yeah, it
and
ended
kudos to Debbie for putting that together and getting it to that point.
You're not lying. She gave $75,000 last night to One Voice, which is human trafficking, and she actually thinks she's going to be able to up that whenever it's all said and done, and we clear the books from the event.
And you know, those women, I guarantee you, to the lady, every one of them have a great time.
Yeah, they are so much fun. It's one of my favorite nights because, you know, you just they always talk about my husband gets to do this, my husband gets to do this, and now it's our turn. So that's always fun.
Well, thank you for being here.
You bet.
Appreciate
Thanks for having me.
Coach, you're starting camp tomorrow. When it's said and done, what do you want to accomplish from this 4 weeks prior to your first game?
Yeah, I think we're in really good shape, but I want to be in the best shape of any team in the country. I want to be this is a strain. Camp is a strain. Some guys were talking like you don't have two-a-days anymore and you don't have all that, but what we do have is a lot of time to do a lot of football, and so our guys are in the building at 6:30 in the morning. Most of the old guys are in the building earlier than that. We practice, and then we get walkthroughs, and we get meetings and team meetings, and so they're usually here from 6:30 in the morning till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And so I want to create a mentally tough team. I think that's going to be really important this year, and so I want to come out that way. And then there's some battles. There really are. There's some who's going to be the right tackle, who's going to be the left guard. There's a lot of guys that have started in those positions, and but I'm anxious to see who's going to be the starting running back.
We are live with Joey McGuire. Joey, you just took questions there at the press conference. The most interesting thing to me you talked about was creating adversity here in camp, throwing extra flags and creating those scenarios where maybe like in the Colorado game there's some weird
no doubt
pass interference or roughing the passer.
Which it wasn't, by the way.
Well, you said it. I would agree.
Yeah.
Do you have those planned out, or is that going to be a feel thing?
It's more of a feel thing of like how good everybody's feeling, to kind of like ruffle some feathers. When things are just ginning along and everybody's feeling really good, and then all of a sudden, man, throw a wrench into it and just kind of see how everybody responds. And it's good sometimes when they don't respond the right way, because I'll stop practice, cut the music, and go through like, hey, this is going to happen. Like, you have got to get to the next play. This helps us. It doesn't help us at all. And so I think with a mature team that we have, they'll respond the right way, but we still gotta create some of that.
Coach, you've got around 17 portal players. You've got some incoming freshmen. And if somebody asks me about Joey McGuire, one of the first words that comes out of my mouth is relationships. How have you been able to do what you do so well and have those relationships with players, with so many new ones, but yet don't forget the ones that are here? And I know that's been tough on you, but how have you done that?
Well, they're going to get the same guy every single day, man.
Yep.
Whenever when you commit to Tech and become a Red Raider, they're stuck with me through the rest of their life, and
thank goodness.
Yeah, and I think I'm glad they're with us, but they really do. They're going to get the same guy. I challenge anybody this is my 31st year, and so my 31st team that I'm a part of as a coach, and I promise you, every single person, whether they liked it or didn't like it, they still got the same guy every single day. So I think when they know I'm consistent and, my best part of my day, without a doubt, is being around the players. And so they feel that. We have a couple of new student coaches, and I came around the corner, and one of them said, I heard that about you. I heard that you're going to hear you coming because you're so loud and always fired up. And I said, yeah, you find a day I'm not, man, and, you know, we're all in trouble.
Yep. You talked a little bit about your coordinators in your press conference. When you were hiring your offensive coordinator, what did you see about Mac Leftwich that made you think this is somebody I want to talk to a little bit deeper? It's something I've watched film on. I've talked to other coaches about him. What was it about Mac Leftwich that pulled that trigger?
Well, I knew his dad, number one.
Okay.
I mean, his dad's been a college coach. He's a high school coach right now, so he can go see his boys coach because all three of them coach in college. And so I knew his dad. He's a coach's kid. G.J. Kinney is a really, really good friend of mine, and so I knew him. The elf, Eric Morse, is a really good friend of mine, and I knew him. And then, you know, so I was able to reach out to some people and really know who he was. And then, you know, whenever I was talking to him and watching, the one thing that I told him after I waited till after he said, Coach, I'm coming. I said, you need to understand, you may have more pressure on you than I have on me. And he looked at me like, what do you mean? And I said, well, one thing about Texas Tech fans, they understand offensive football. You know what I'm saying? Like, they get that part of all of that. And so I saw still that he has the air raid concepts, learning from Eric, but he has his own stuff, and he pulls some different things from some really, really good offensive minds. And I just love his demeanor, and so I was really excited that we got him.
Did the fact that he developed Cam Ward when he was at Carnot Word, did that play into a thought process of, boy, he could – Barron's probably there, but he's got some young quarterbacks behind that he can develop?
Yeah, not only just he's a great talent evaluator in the quarterback room. I mean, he is the guy that gets – and he should get credit for finding that guy and really pushing Eric to take him when they were in Incarnate Word. You know, and I think he's done that. Like, you're going to see our number 3, who I feel great about coming in any game. He's won game in the ACC, but Mitch is a really, really good quarterback, and Mac knew about him even before. You know, he was probably going to try to get him at Texas State if we hadn't have stole Mac from Texas State, you know, and got Mitch. And so I love his evaluation. And then I do think he's going to be able to help Barron go to another level with just the little bitty things, because Max played quarterback, and you know there's some little things in just throwing the football and being more accurate and what he's looking at that I think Mac's going to bring from the standpoint of, you know, he played the position.
I got to believe in the film room it's really going to help.
Yeah, no doubt. And then, man, our assistant quarterback coach is an absolute stud. That's Lindsey Scott. Lindsey Scott threw 60 touchdowns in this offense as a player. He won the Walter Payton Award, which is the Heisman Trophy at the FCS. So you bring another guy in there like that it really makes a difference.
When you interviewed for the job, you had the binder, right, The Awakening the Giants. You look back on that, year 4, where do you think you are on that plan?
You know, I think we're in a good spot. I mean, I feel the frustration because I'm really frustrated that we have not been able to make another step, and that step to me is getting into the Big 12 championship. I think, you know, we were closer last year because our quarterback was healthy, you know, and so I think I always tell everybody, you know, I would have bet any amount of money if you would have said year 1 and year 2, then you're going to have to play 3 different quarterbacks. I would have said you're absolutely crazy. And so I thought you saw that last year. I do think we're on the right path. I think if you ask the players and the feel of that locker room, they feel like we're ready to take another step. And that step, you know, I am not a coach speak guy. I never have been. I think whenever you're a coach speak guy, you're guarding yourself. You're almost protecting yourself if something bad happens. Well, I didn't tell you we could play in the Big 12 championship. You know, I really do think it's time to take that step.
Coach, you said in your press conference earlier that there were some legitimate competitions going on.
Yeah.
Not only for first, second, but maybe second, third.
Yeah.
And when you're out there and you've got this 4 weeks, what makes a winner? What makes a winner go from second team to first team? What do those players have in their mind? Here's what I've got to do. Here's what Coach McGuire is going to look at for me to get to that position.
I think the biggest thing is we ask our guys in January. January 10th they moved in, and I think we met on January 12th. And we said, hey, look, keep the main thing the main thing. And the first one is we want to be on time to everything we got going on. But the other thing is we said empty the tank when we go. I want to see guys that are competing that they go out and empty the tank.
During practice.
During practice. Like, I don't want to see them holding back. I don't want to see them worried about making mistakes. I want to see them to go out and play at the standard that we want to practice and play at. I think that's number one. And then you get into the things of, like, how are they performing, or, who's making the middle bust in pressure situations. Physically, how are they holding up against, we've got – you're talking about tackles. Like, I feel great about our left tackle, but, the right tackle, I feel great about those guys. But who's going to be the guy, Jacob, Hunter, Will Jadis? Yeah. Well, guess what? They're going to face David Bailey and Romello Hyde every single day. So we're going to find out real quick who's going to hold up. Same way in the running back room. Man, there's great competition going into the running back room, and like, who's going to be able to hold up, because all three of them can run the football. I'm not worried about them running the football. Who's going to be the most consistent catching the football? They all catch the football well out of the backfield. But we lost a guy that could pick up any blitz and be physical doing that. Who's going to be able to do that in the passing game to be able to protect a quarterback?
There was a time we talked about 3 quarterbacks on the field at the same time. We're going to get 3 running backs, 2 tight ends, 13, 23.
Well, I'm going to tell you what.
Personnel.
If John Carlos Miller and Terrence Carter and Q and Cam Dickey and Jacoby Williams, if they're all on the field at the same time, that is not a bad thing. I'm just telling y'all, because there's some playmakers, some absolute playmakers.
Taj Brooks was Taj Brooks.
Yes.
He ran, and he ran hard. He ran good. He was a great runner. Will we see this room of running backs become a little bit more pass-catching ability?
Well, I think they do, all 3 of them. The one thing that I think you will see out of this room, I think they'll catch the ball well out of the backfield. But these guys, speed-wise, are different.
Jacoby Williams.
Jacoby Williams ran 22 like 08. Quentin Joyner was 21 like 8.7. Same way with Cam Dickey. He's been over 21. So, like, when these guys get in the open field, saw that against Arkansas with Jacoby Williams. Remember, he took the ball and hit his head on the goalpost, in the open field.
Yep.
I think you're going to see that out of all 3 of those guys. Like, they're more home run running backs. Now, me saying that, I'll take Taj Brooks any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
We'd have given him another year.
No doubt. I would have found a way. But I do think that's what you'll see out of those guys. They're a little bit different.
Yep.
You've been great at identifying talent and talking to the media about guys who might be great next year or the year after. Mike Dingle's been one of those guys. Yeah. How exciting is it to have him be able to step into a role, and maybe who's another guy, the next guy that you might identify as a future star? Yeah,
I'm really excited about Mike. He fits what we're asking him to do, really fits in Shields' defense. So I think that they really are a great marriage right there. I said the 2 guys on the defense side of the ball, Chetta and John Curry, I think are going to go a whole nother level. They're young guys. I think B.J. Jordan, who has started for us and has done well, but we're moving him to the high safety, and I think, you're going to see some really good things out of him. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I'm really high on Jacob Ponton. He played well. He didn't give up a sack or any pressures against Arkansas in the bowl game at 283 pounds, and now he's 308 pounds.
Yep.
So, young man growing up and being the man and a grown man that he is. So I'm really excited about him.
All right, maybe we'll get some tackle over, too.
No doubt.
13 personnel tackle over, get some jumbo package. All right, really appreciate your time, Joey. This